Artemis Blu 2, Infinity Diamonds in Infinity Diasomata. I mean, what else is there to say? That's the video. You would benefit from no more and no less information than that. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all next time. I just want to preface by saying that I would never have sought out this book on my own, but a viewer actually sent me a link to it, insisting that it needs to be known about. Thanks, bro. You might as well have emailed me the smile demon. Once you see it, it consumes your life, and then you're dead in 7 days. And that's pretty much what happened to me. For after reading the back cover, I felt possessed. Like I had absorbed some forbidden knowledge that left me smarter, but also dumber than before. Artemis Blu is her infinity reflection with infinity memory. Artemis is studying at the acclaimed Solarium Multiversity. And ever keen to satiate the masses' appetite for pain, I finally relented and ordered a copy. Delivery date arrived and nothing. So confused, I called the post office, and after investigation, they told me that the package had been delivered to the wrong address, somewhere in my subdivision, but they refused to tell me exactly where. So I waited to see if the mail carrier could retrieve it on his next run, or if the residents would be so kind as to drop it off to the correct house on their time. Days passed with no word from either party. So I went and ordered a second copy, praying that it would actually be delivered to the right house this time. And thank the Lord it did. But as relieved as I am to finally hold this book, in the broadest sense of the term, I can't help but feel disturbed, knowing that somewhere, miles or perhaps feet away, sits the original copy, lying dormant in someone's mailbox, unseen, but whose presence is felt regardless. A ghost, a shade, a slumbering phantom breathed into existence by ineptitude and unpaid debt, a paper-bound incarnation of my own misfortune. It also didn't help that the physical version costs $16. $16 for this little tissue paper packet. I mean, look at this thing. It's pathetic. I'd sooner use it to break open locked doors than to actually read. Holy shit. And I know you might be thinking, why didn't you just buy the ebook? Well, 3 reasons. 1, I like having a physical copy to serve as a visual element. 2, I just prefer physical versions. I mean, I stare at screens at my job, I stare at screens when I edit videos. The last thing I want to do is stare at more screens. And 3, the ebook is $10. Look, I don't care how good you are. If you're just starting out self-publishing on Amazon, your ebook is not worth $10. I mean, who really looks at this cover and thinks, yeah, I'd pay $10 for that. I'd rather pay $10 to never have to look at it again. And we haven't even talked about the actual book yet. Well, the cover's bad. The font is annoying, the drawing is uncanny, the colors are eye-piercing, and the absolute gall to insist this book is actually a printing from Unicorn Solarium Press. You know, all I'm gonna say is I wish I had a fraction of this author's confidence. But in all seriousness, I don't want to be too harsh on this woman. Usually when I make fun of bad books and their authors, they've already attained a degree of attention and notoriety, and self-published books of this nature are a dime a dozen on Amazon. So please, do not harass this person for the terrible crime of publishing a book. I also feel kind of bad because I'm sure Shanna Dobson saw there were 2 back-to-back sales of her book and got really excited. Except for the fact that one's currently lost in the suburban void and the other's about to be torn apart by some asshole on the internet. So I'll try and tone down the personal attacks and offer some tips in its place, because while books like this are everywhere, the people behind them do matter, and I'm sure many of them want to become better writers. And if we can learn something from this book, then I think that'll just about make up for the $34 I spent trying to get it. I guess that's tip number 1. Don't make your books unjustifiably expensive when you publish them. You want people to read? Remove as many barriers as you can. And price is a big one. Tip number 2, going back to the cover. I assume Shanna Dobson is also the cover designer. Yeah, if you can't do something yourself, then just pay someone else to do it. I know it's never fun to spend money, but trust me, the dignity you'll receive is priceless. But as for mocking the book itself,
A plague on our houses. Make me the conduit of your wrath, Lord God on high, so the pox may never flee the confines of this wretched book. Dominus Petrum mei semper et aeternam.
Oh, hey. 6 feet, social distancing. Thank you. Let's start with a little background on the author. Shanna Dobson is an NSF Mathematical Sciences Graduate Research Fellow, UCR Distinguished Chancellor Fellow, Caltech SURF Fellow, Princeton Associate Member of the Study Women in Scientific Research Honor Program Chair of the Southern California. So, to sum it up, she's math. It's only logical then that she'd write a novel with heavy mathematical themes and concepts. And also unicorns. Dearest reader, aw, she's talking to me. Someone's... Alright, let's give it a shot. Epipsychidion. Alright, let's see how we did.
Epipsychidion.
What? Kidion? Really?
Epipsychidion.
You put so much emphasis on the O at the end? Can you say Kidion? Really? Shut up! Alright, next line. Diamonds are times... Hyacity?
Hexiety.
What?
Hexiety.
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 That is wild, okay.
Hexiety.
You know, you just assume that...
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe to our channel and help us pronounce every word in the world.
No. Shit, what else we got? Topos. Pro-ital. Chief. Eschatology. Epistemology. Anagology. Autoscopia. Discretization. Okay, here's tip number 3. Writing is poetry, even if you're not writing poems. What you write is only as good as how you write it, how it reads, how it flows, how these million-dollar words fit in with the prose. Shit, I just rhymed. Using words no one knows or understands isn't a bad thing, but what really matters is context. Often readers can extrapolate the meaning of a word based on how it's used in a sentence, plus the other words surrounding it. This is just that episode of Friends where Joey uses a thesaurus to sound smart.
I don't, understand.
Some of the words a little too sophisticated for you.
A reader should not have to make a running glossary of terms just to comprehend what you're trying to say. But that's exactly what I had to do. I guess it would make sense to me if I were also a NSF Mathematical Sciences Graduate Research Fellow, Princeton Research Program Chair. I can't even start reading this fucking book because the gripes just keep piling up. Another thing that pisses me off is, so this first part is just a letter to the reader, but the insanity comes screaming out of the gate and doesn't let up. How does one write a diamond frosted in infinities? Well, thanks for asking. I do not know. And somehow I have a feeling that I'm still not going to know by the time I'm done reading. I wanted to write an infinity diamond and an infinity topos. I want to do a lot of things, Shanna. And yet I don't. Mainly because I'm on a no-fly list. But also because they're intrusive thoughts, and while having them doesn't make you a bad person, acting on them... Of course, I knew to write such shimmering complexities would require an infinity visual epistemology and infinity exigency. Naturally. I mean, it's just clockwork for us writers. Morning routine of the writer. At 3:53 a.m., I visualize my shimmering complexities. At exactly 4 a.m., I acquire an infinity visual epistemology, followed by a 20-minute rest period. I eat breakfast, and then at 7:36 a.m., I reconcile my infinity exigency. And finally, at 9:21 a.m., I have fully realized my shimmering complexities. Links in the description. Theoretically, holding this text up to a mirror should give an equal story, in the sense of infinities. Oh my god. Guys. It still sucks. And of course, we can't ignore the elephant, in the room. The egregious overuse of the word infinity. In this letter to the reader alone, I counted 32 infinities, which, per capita, is an improvement from the back cover's 24. Progress! And I'm not even going to try and count how many times it's used throughout the whole text. I think it might actually be close to infinity. Why? Why is this a thing that exists? The infinite infinities ad infinitum. I don't get it. Please, Shanna, help me understand. I too want to become math. Like you. So what is the story? I have no idea. In a nutshell, I think a unicorn named Artemis Blu falls into a diamond hourglass of infinity and engages with schizophrenic dialogue with herself about esoteric math concepts. The first third of the book is just a stream of consciousness catastrophe. It's utterly incomprehensible. An excerpt, if you will. You've always been a Deleuzian math magician, haven't you? No meaning, no time, no symmetries to create time so back to the Ilia? Perhaps. What comes without Advent comes without Perusia. No, another consummating, no commensurate with nothing. No Blanchot. Sovereignty is nothing commensurate with nothing. Now imagine 150 pages of that. We also learn, if you could call it learning, that Artemis Blu is some kind of incarnation of the actual main character, named Shanna. I am so tired. Shanna, a trans-infinitely 11-year-old crystal fawn, debuted in the critically acclaimed predecessor of the Artemis Chronicles of Imaginarium, Artemis Blu and the Solarium Multiversity. Yes, I'm aware this book is technically a sequel, and they say that sequels are never as good as the original, so maybe the first entry can offer some much-needed clarity. One day I will be able to eat light rays, organically grown light rays. But do light rays experience time? Would the light rays grow soggy? No, it does not. Anyway, back in Artemis Blu 2, Shanna eventually realizes she can't stay in the hourglass, so she consults the resident infinity creatures for advice on how to become a diamond so she can access time and escape the hourglass. Don't we all, Shanna? The dialogue is amazing. Clearly the lack of quotation marks and the undefined speakers were inspired by Cormac McCarthy's The Road. It's good to know that lesser works can influence absolute masterclasses like Artemis Blu. It's genuinely disconcerting seeing these mind-numbingly advanced math concepts mixed with things a 6-year-old girl would find fascinating. Unicorns, diamonds, rainbows, kittens, bunnies, animal crackers in my soup. I mean, this fantasy world you've created, it's hell. I mean, an inescapable wasteland of pink, dictated by the laws of mathematics, inhabited by eldritch creatures who yap about infinity for infinity. It's hell. It's honest to God hell. Like, I truly believe Dante would have scrapped the Divine Comedy and started over if he knew about Amazon self-publishing. Usually this is where I highlight insane lines from the book, but I can't really do that this time because the entire book is insane. But I'll try and power through some anyway. The infinite piano smiled infinitely, like a smile without a piano. Now I'm imagining this giant grin just looming in Earth's orbit. I think Shanna Dobson just accidentally revolutionized cosmic horror as a genre. To help us imagine this, let us start with a 1 stack of Oz Emerald Mint Ice Cream. This is a 2,1 sheaf on a 2,1 site with target category, the 2,1 category of Oz Emerald Mint Ice Cream groupoids. I'm amazed you somehow managed to make ice cream a pain in the ass. You are so infinity pure, can you not see the infinity irony? The what? The infinity irony. I seem to infinity not. An infinity unicorn asking an infinity neurologist about singularity speaking? I only infinity see diamonds. Hey, could you infinity not? Oh shit, the book's making jokes for me. I'm officially on the same wavelength as Artemis Blu. I think the text at one point makes fun of me because it flat out says, "You want narrative coherence, but I live in the world of glass thoughts. Glass flowers. Infinity vitrified dream conflagrations, and there is no structural causality." So the book is admitting that it's the literary equivalent of Ebola, but it doesn't care because the author lives in infinity glass thoughts. You know what? I respect it. I'd feel entitled to do just about anything myself if I lived in infinity glass thoughts. But we can't all be so privileged, Shanna. Maybe come down to your ephemeral meat thoughts for a change? then you could see how infinitely annoying your book is. I will also note that the story is interspliced with complex math equations and figures that are supposed to represent the work of Artemis Blu. To someone like me, you might as well fart on a blank page and tell me to translate. But if any of you math nerds in the comments can decipher these, let me know. I'm genuinely curious. The chapter titles don't make sense either. The back cover claims they're named after colors, since infinity time arrives in infinity colors. Duh. I mean, come on guys, this is elementary stuff. Keep up. But I swear they're the stupidest colors in the spectrum. Chapter Pink Sapphire, Infinity Topaz, The Eschatology of Red, In-Carnation Pink. Get it? Carnation? Incarnation? That's a pun. It's a literary device. Chapter Golden Blue. Those are 2 colors, Shanna! And my personal favorite. Chapter 0 hashtag Antiphysical Time Diamond. That's not a color, Shanna! I don't even know what that is! Some other nonsense happens. I think a character from Solarium Multiversity appears, so serves me right for not reading Solarium Multiversity. And the book ends with Artemis saving the day by citing one of Shanna Dobson's academic papers. I feel like I've ascended, but backwards. Wait, what? Which leads us to our final tip of the day. If you are not confident in your background or your abilities, then ask or hire someone who is. So many of these books, especially the bad ones I've reviewed on this channel, were clearly only ever looked at by the authors before they're sent out into the world, and boy does it show. And that's a major problem with self-publishing as a space. You get scores of these authors who are well-meaning but delusional, who have no frame of reference for basic writing etiquette because they did not learn it themselves and no one's telling them otherwise. Shanna, I'm sure you're a brilliant mathematician. I'm sure you deserve all your credits. But this book was a nightmare. Reading it was like being strapped to that roller coaster that kills you via sheer terminal velocity. Much like Empress Teresa, this was a very indulgent work, where the only person who could possibly take legitimate value from it is the author. But that's not to say the sentiments were bad. Mixing mathematics with fantasy is a fine idea. A book that did it well was The Phantom Tollbooth. Granted, it's a children's book, but that's kind of the point. If you want to continue down this path to pursue this idea, then consider starting small with less complicated concepts. Perhaps short stories for younger ages that use fantasy to teach a basic math concept. See where it goes, see how you like it. Personally, I think that's a much better use of your talent. And please, for the love of God, partner yourself with someone who knows what they're doing. Because you clearly do not. But that's not to say you shouldn't keep at it.
But yeah, he literally was like, here. I was like, oh, thanks. But yeah.
Did you say 5 days?
Yeah, it was 5 days. He said, I had this package for 5 days. He rolled up. He was like, is Nicholas here? And I was like, I know Nicholas, but here's your package. I know that you were looking for it.
I am so unbelievably pissed off. Oh my god.